Hello guys and welcome to What the Tech episode number 26. My name is Adam Lobo.
And I'm Vernon. Awesome to be back.
Yes, today or this week's episode is going to be dedicated to our great friends from Google because there are lots of amazing things that they are doing right now, especially for their Pixel 10 devices. But before we talk about the Pixel 10 devices and what we know so far, which is almost everything, let's also dive into my 3 weeks review of the HUAWEI Pura 80 Ultra. I'm charging it right now just to show you all some stuff. I'm going to go through into what is good and what is not so good so that people can help to make a purchase decision. Of course, the ultimate thing is for you all to actually watch the whole entire video, right? Because ultimately, watching the video would be your better understanding of the whole entire podcast as well, which I think is a very important thing moving forward to everyone. Another thing is, of course, we're going to go back into the tech news. So the tech news, we have 3. One of the first things is the Google trolling Apple in the new Pixel 10 ad. And then the Pixel leaks that we know so far.
Which is everything.
Which is everything, like I mentioned earlier. Spotify, our favorite music platform.
Oh, yes.
They decided to come up with a higher price hike this time around. And for who asked for this, it's a very interesting conversation for your particular segment, which is a Syariah-Compliant Matchmaking portal.
Yep. This threw me off a bit, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a short moment. The community segment is a bit more compared to people who's using Windows, but I guess it can work both ways, where we ask what is the most important feature, and we had 61% say the processor type, and they have GPU power as the second one. Screen size is the last one, and the brand is 9%.
Interesting. We'll talk about it as well.
And so we'll talk about that. Like I said, this week we are going to be specifically talking about the Pixel leaks and all the rumors we have. But next week we'll be having a special guest joining us, talking about everything that we know on the iPhone 17. If you want to know who the special guest is, stay tuned. Right after this, we'll be talking about that in a short moment. All right, let's dive in first on the HUAWEI Pura 80 Ultra, because here's the thing. We've created about 2 videos so far about the HUAWEI Pura 80 Ultra. One was just to talk about the cameras.
Yeah.
The other one is to talk about how to get the Google apps in your phone. That is one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people had.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to dive in very quickly on what is good, and probably you can give your reactions to that as well. So first things first, it's very obvious, Vernon, that the cameras are the best, but specifically on the rear cameras, I'll go into why the front cameras is not the best. Gbox, of course, gives you the opportunity to use Google apps easily. And that also includes updates, because previously updates was a bit finicky.
Yeah.
Right now it's fine. The display, something which I feel is not talked as much, which is the fact that the display on this really looks really good. So I'm just going to unlock the phone very quick. The display, it looks really good and is also very durable. The Kunlun glass is the 2nd generation Kunlun glass, which is very strong. Our friend Mustadam actually dropped the P60 Pro, which is
Clumsy
2 generation. Clumsy fella, punch fella. And it was fine. We didn't do any drop tests with this. We don't plan to do any such drop tests. Battery life is decent because it's 5,170 milliamps of battery, but it is getting about 6 hours of screen on time, which is fine.
Yeah, is decent, right? More than decent.
I would think I would get a bit more because it's only using 4G. Because, so that's where I thought at least I would get 8 hours of screen on time.
Okay.
But then again, we are looking at a chip which is not high in the nanometer process chip. So that's fine. Genshin Impact, when it comes to running games, all is okay. It is still slightly jittery in terms of the movement of the character.
Okay.
But other than that, it's actually a very good phone to game on.
It's a Kirin...
Yeah, it's a Kirin chipset. I don't know the exact model, but it is a Kirin chipset. If you check on GSM Arena, I'm sure you can find out, because for me, I can never remember the numbers, but it is using a Kirin chipset. What's so not good is the fact that it is pretty heavy. You can hold it.
Yeah.
233.5 grams.
In our previous episode, we kind of...
Yeah.
It could be I think the camera module is actually quite heavy.
It also could be because of the glass, right? Because there's very high quality durability
Yeah, quite
glass for the
substantial
front and
in
also at
terms
the back.
of weight.
So for those of you who feels like you cannot use a heavy phone, this could be a deal breaker for you all. And as much as I said in my review, I did not care about the rear camera bump because I only look at the screen. But like my abang Vernon says, he doesn't like the rear camera bump. So this could be based on a personal preference. As I mentioned earlier, spoiler alert, it has no 5G. I had no issue with it because I always put my SIM card inside. Some people really die, they want 5G. For me, I did not mind not having 5G because I rather have consistent connection rather than 5G speeds. Plus, we are always at home. So what are your thoughts about the whole 5G situation?
I think because there's no escaping 5G. Number one, I mean, based on MCMC right now,
Yeah.
5G coverage is at 92% of populated areas. That's
Quite high already.
Very high.
Yeah.
And you cannot escape that. I mean, 4G areas may be in suburban or maybe kind of remote places where you have 4G and you don't have 5G.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense. But then you're looking at a phone that is flagship, appeals to the urban crowd, most likely, right?
Yeah.
And people who can afford it because
Yeah.
it's at a higher price point. So no 5G can be a deal breaker.
Okay.
I think we talked about this in the
Yeah,
previous
we
one.
did. We did.
I personally felt it's not such a big deal, but I think overall, coming from a consumer perspective, I think it may be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me as a consumer, I honestly have no issues like you. I don't mind it. Probably because most of the time we are in the studio or we are at home where we already have Wi-Fi connection. And when we go out, we are probably just moving from one place to another. And if you're going to a cafe, there's Wi-Fi there. But yeah, it could be a deal breaker for some. So let us know in the comment section below whether or not having a phone without 5G is an issue in year 2025 at this point in time, especially if you're living in Malaysia. Because probably there's different kinds of 5G connections in other countries as well. But to me, it didn't affect my daily use. I didn't go like, oh, I wish I had 5G.
But do you know what are Huawei's plans? I mean, they are the biggest and most advanced 5G.
Good question. The problem is that it's not Huawei's issue, right? They cannot manufacture a chip which has 5G support because of the restriction coming from the US. So it's not like they don't want to do it. They came up with the technology.
Exactly.
They came up with the 5G technology.
Which is why they're in such a disadvantaged position. And especially the other deal breaker, which is GMS and Google stuff, right?
Exactly.
Of course, there's a workaround with Gbox. But I feel it's still not the full Google experience. Maybe you like to talk about Gbox a little bit. I think some people out there don't know about Gbox and how it adds, the ability to use Google services and apps.
Gbox is so much easier than last time. I remember when we hit the pandemic, it's the early times where Donald Trump did this whole issue with, you cannot sell Huawei phones and stuff like that. During that time, you had to really go through a very annoying phase of making sure that, I want to go and change it accordingly, what you need to install and stuff like that. And then they had this petal search. After they had petal search, it was a bit easier, but most of the apps are using a web-based apps.
Yeah, so Petal is basically like a search engine for apps, right?
So they created shortcuts in your home screen in order for you to use those, which I
doesn't
felt
solve
like,
the problem.
Yeah, it didn't really had that sort of it feels like a Google device. For me, I think throughout the years, the emergence of Gbox has really changed your experience. Like you can see that I do have all of the apps available over here. I just want to check and see, is that camera not working? Because I don't see the red light when we're switching. Okay, cool. Thanks, Paul. Thank you. Yeah, so it is annoying my head. Okay, so one of the things that I realize is that this time around for Gbox specifically is the fact that it feels like a normal home screen app for Android. And the previous versions, like your Petal Search or even your previous Aurora store, they had all of this different stuff. You had issues with updating. So you came to a point whereby you just couldn't update it. If you update it, you're in trouble. This time around, I felt like I was using a regular Android phone. There's only two parts which is not working very well. Funnily enough, Gemini works, but Google Assistant does not work.
Okay.
So you know how Google Assistant has this logo, like this assistant?
Yeah.
So when I click it, nothing happens. Right? It immediately shuts down. So sometimes it doesn't load.
Okay.
But Gemini is fine. But
which I think moving forward that would be probably the main assistant within the Google sphere.
I agree.
Yeah, because they're gonna replace it completely.
Because in my review, so I did say that Huawei's own Celia is useless.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never used Celia.
I tried. I asked what time is it, and then I asked you
that's why
whether
it has
you
a
want to
silly
go online
name.
and search. I'm like, okay, bro, thank you. So another thing which does not work, I tried almost everything. So let me know which apps that you want me to test out, because this phone, I'm still kind of daily driving this with alongside the Z Fold 7 to test out and do a full in-depth review on that. Everything, like I said, I tested out has been great. Last time Notion had an issue.
Right.
Now no more. Todoist has an issue, and you know how much we use Todoist and Notion. Yeah. The only two apps which I had issues with is the Google Assistant, like I mentioned, and also Android Auto.
Android Auto doesn't work. Okay.
So it just
so you plug it in, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can, whether or not it's wireless or even wired connection, I think that is something which has been a struggle for Huawei devices ever since this happened, because there might be something within the chip that could help them to connect with the cars wirelessly or even through wired. But possible. Android Auto on the Huawei devices for the longest time has never worked. Okay. Hopefully, the new generation one, they might be having some sort of a workaround with it. So that is one of the biggest issue.
What about things like payment apps, bank apps?
It's okay. I tried Maybank to you. I tried CIMB because the
Touch and Go and stuff.
Touch and Go is also okay. So so far
I think that was always those key apps that we use daily. Those are always the questions, right?
Exactly. So this time around, I felt like it's the first time that you could use everything except for Google Assistant and also specifically for Android Auto as well.
And just to be clear, this Gbox thing, it's really an emulation software.
Yeah,
it's like running a virtual machine, right? It's a sandbox environment.
It is literally an app by itself. So you literally go over there.
It's like running Mac on Windows and Windows on Mac.
Exactly. So you have the new version. It will prompt you to say what is the latest version. So you can either ignore or update it. And then it will also give you the recommended apps that you need to update. So you can actually go over here and then you can see all the update buttons for you all to know.
It's a very interesting way to work around the ban. But I also think, how do they get around the licensing part of Android?
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
That's still a question.
It is.
I don't know how Huawei does it. But
because you have such questions is where other users also have the similar questions, which makes them want to change. Actually, my tax agent, he is a huge Huawei fan. He was so close to getting the Huawei Mate X6, the foldable. And he unfortunately switched to Honor, and you all know how much I love Honor, because he felt like the seamless connection just using Google without worrying about whether or not the app will crash and all.
Yeah.
But based on my usage for the past 3 weeks, there's no app crashes.
Right. But I think not only that, it's about it's also the question of security, whether it's secure or not, and stuff like that. Not just me. I mean, like you said, there are a lot of people out there who are curious about that and worried about that. So
the other end of the spectrum, we can also turn around and say that Google hasn't been the most data secure company in the world. So, but then again, every other Android phones have Google anyway. So I guess it's like the better evil or the evil or the devil, kind of thing, as opposed to having something from scratch. But that would be a huge issue for those of you who really need that in your life. The next thing, which is an issue, which I was surprised was, so I don't know whether you noticed this because you and I, we are iPhone users.
Yeah.
So iPhone's rear camera has this issue with lens flare.
Yes.
Right? I'm sure you remember.
Yeah. Haven't
Not for
solved it
picture,
yet.
but for video. Yeah. And every time when they have the keynote to say that, we have a new oleophobic coating for the lens and stuff, but we still do have that lens flare thing. The Xiaomi 15 Ultra does not have the issue. That's the only Ultra phone which I felt it was fine, even the S25 Ultra.
Right.
But this has the similar issue though. I'm not sure why. Yeah, it has it. It has that similar glare when you shoot against the street lights or the lights.
Yeah, it's basically hardware. It's basically the lens.
Yeah, so that is something for you all to know in terms of that. Interestingly enough, I don't know why they came up with this decision. I would like to talk to you about that. Is the fact that there's no in-display fingerprint sensor because they use the side-mounted one. So what are your thoughts about using this? I know it's faster, but in a day of, or this particular time, 2025, how is that?
I think it's a matter of choice. Some manufacturers do it, some don't. Like even Sony for the longest time had this side fingerprint sensor, right? With the integrated with the power button. I think it's a matter of choice.
For you, you're an iPhone user, so you don't use a fingerprint
Face
sensor.
ID.
You use Face ID. So, but if you're an Android user, would you prefer to have in-display or the side-mounted ones?
Wow, that's a tough question. I think the most important is which is faster and which is more dependable. I think some implementations are faster than others.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter if it's a side button or an in-display.
Yeah, true.
As long as it's accurate and it's fast.
Yeah. Correct. Okay. Yeah, because not all display or in-display fingerprint sensors are created equal.
Correct. I mean, at one point, Samsung's one was so slow.
Yes.
Remember in the early days?
Fastest, the ultrasonic ones are the fastest compared to the optical ones. Other than that, there were some heating issues. Not while playing game, but taking photos and videos during very bright daylight.
I guess that's a chip problem because it's older generation.
It's an older generation. So I think that would be one of the biggest issue. Bloatware. I think,
is that a surprise? I don't think it's a surprise.
I think Huawei is right now the king of bloatwares. I think they have already beaten Xiaomi, or let's just say Xiaomi has cleaned up a bit more stuff. There's a lot. Like I can tell you right now, there's weird apps which I never heard in my life.
But you know why they do that, right? It's money.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so
there's trip.com, there's
you
a lot.
Just pay to be there.
MSN is the most annoying one.
MSN
MSN
for news
will give you news. So you get the notification. So even though I tried to uninstall it, then there's local send. I think there's a Huawei thing. There's My Huawei. There's Petal Clip. I think it's their own version of editing. Because it's clip, right? So it looks like an editing software. So there's a lot of bloatware. So if you are buying a Huawei phone at this point in time, if you hate bloatware, that's it. Final thing, I want to know whether it's a deal breaker for you. For me, because I do appreciate high quality videos, but at the same time, I have a TV for that. Netflix, maximum resolution is SD. And YouTube is limited to 1080p, no 4K streaming.
This is because of Widevine, and I think it only runs Widevine L3, which is the lower spec. The lower spec of it, where in actual fact only supports 480p, but I don't know how they do
SD
and also 1080p. Right, I'm quite surprised with that. But I think it has to do also with the chip, because the chip doesn't have a secure environment for verification for Widevine.
Do you think that is a deal breaker for a lot of people?
Yes, it is, because it's a flagship device, number one, and it's got a good display. And then if you're not going to make full use of display, it's a bit of a shame. Even if you say 2K, I would kind of accept it. 4K on a device, rare, I think. You don't really consume 4K on a mobile device. So I think 1080p is kind of like middle ground, which is good enough.
Speaking of displays, it's interesting that how the only brand that we know of commercially, the only brand which came out with a 4K resolution display on a phone is Sony, right? Why do you think that was something that no other smartphone people did it? Is it battery, or they just realized that a lot of people don't care?
It is battery, and because of the size of the phone, 4K resolution isn't the most practical, and the benefits are not as big as you would, let's say, a bigger device. Like 4K on a laptop is different from a mobile phone, because you don't really see that difference.
Then why did Sony did it then?
Bragging rights. They have
because they can.
Because it was always about the technologies from their TVs, transferred to the mobile phones.
Correct. Okay, so those are the things that we have actually highlighted.
I think the big question is, if you buy a Huawei device, is it? I feel that it's a compromised experience.
Okay.
From a mobile perspective,
okay,
or at least from a Google Android perspective,
okay,
I feel that there's a lot of compromises that a user has to face if you were to buy a Huawei device.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
If it was last year's phone or the year before that, a P60 Pro, I feel like the compromises is a little more. This time around, like I said, it's gotten better. I'm not so worried about the whole security thing because they do have their own built-in security kind of features. I'm not worried about that. I just wish that they fix more things that could be fixed, like for example, the heating issues. That could be fixed with the software update, hopefully. The idea of not having 5G, again, my personal preference, I'm totally okay with that. I think compared to the Pura 70 or the P60 Pro, I feel like the Pura 80 Ultra is their best for the last few because of the experience that you can get within the phone. And the cameras have been really upgraded. And just when you think that they are not going to be upgrading the cameras, that has always been the main thing. The Mate series is not so much, but their Pura or the P series has always been based on the cameras.
It was always about photography.
And the quality of the photography is really improved so much. So this would be dedicated for people who really want the best camera experience for the rear camera, not so much for the front camera. That's something which I also mentioned in the review because their video dynamic range is not good. Stabilization is so bloody good. So because the camera features are so good, this is definitely a little more on people who just want to take lots of photos, nothing else.
Okay.
The software experience, having Google Keep, even last time Google Keep was buggy, it's not. All the apps which I frequently use, everything is fine. So I feel compared to the previous two generations, yes, it is the best time to have a Pura 80 Ultra. I agree with you that there is compromises, but it is the sort of compromise which I don't mind because I already have my daily apps to use as well, but you may think differently as well. Good question. So we did do our in-depth review of that. So if you haven't checked it out, be sure to check it out. That video will be out as soon as this video is out because technically if you're watching this on a Saturday, it'll be out yesterday, which is at the time of this recording tonight as well. So that would be for the Huawei Pura 80 Ultra after 3 weeks. Now, if you have any feedback on that particular device or if you want to talk further, we want to discuss it in the comment section below. Both me and Vernon will be hanging out at the comment section to answer your questions as well. Okay, now, this time around, devices, we are just chilling at one.
Yep.
We're going to go into the best tech news of the week. It goes down to a little more towards what Google's been doing. So let's start off with your reaction. Yes, Google's been quite busy, right? So let's start off with your reaction about how do you think that Google is trolling Apple in the new Pixel 10 ad?
Oh, I mean, it's very obvious that Google is, I think it's just a friendly pot shot at Apple. And not really Google's fault because it's Apple's own fault for not delivering. And that ad, I really like the ad because I thought the script was really clever.
Okay.
What did it say? Let me just read the script. I think it's really nice. It says, the narrator is saying, if you buy a new phone because of a feature that's coming soon, but it's been coming soon for a full year, you could change your definition of soon, or you could change your phone. That's so clever. That's so good.
Okay, so I
with that you can sell more pixels.
I agree with you and saying that is clever. So does this echo my argument on how Honor is being trolling, like how Honor trolls Samsung and the difference between Google trolling Apple? So if you are the judge of the troll judge, who would you say was smarter / clever, or who would you say, okay, your way of doing things is fine?
Right. Obviously here, I'm very biased. I think Google did a more intellectual, a bit of a clever...
Why would you say you're biased?
I'm biased because I'm trying to be to be fair, not judge.
Yeah,
Honor
so I think you're
much
being fair
and
but
Google,
not biased. Yeah. So.
You can take pot shots at someone by being very slapstick, as with how
Good
Honor
point.
or Samsung would have done it to Apple. But Google's a little bit more elegant and a little bit more intellectual.
Elegant is a word.
Yeah.
So because the last time when I was talking about the Honor device,
And without being so blatant, you don't have to really show an iPhone or show an Apple logo or whatever.
I totally agree with you. Because what happened is that when we did a podcast saying about why I don't review Honor devices, someone commented over there, I forgot who is that, but I appreciate comment. We really appreciate, we are fine with your thoughts. So he was saying that why don't I say the same when Apple and Samsung, Samsung makes fun of Apple and vice versa kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is the exact answer because it's totally different, right? Because the way how they would do it is very smart, is clever, and it is a very marketing thing. And it's not like you're just using the device and just put it there and just doing a comparison. Yeah. And at the same time, not owning to your mistake. Because like we all know what happened with the whole big thing and stuff.
I mean, Apple owned up with Siri, right?
Yeah.
For the first, it's very rare, and Apple did it for the first time. Just admitting that Siri is just not there at the moment, and it's not at the quality that they want delivered to customers, and hence the delay, which is rare.
But besides software, because that seems to be like their main thing that they can, really talk about. Like, oh, look, we have all this thing. Because Gemini is really amazing, okay? I still feel like Gemini and Galaxy AI is really hand in hand in terms of what they do it. And that's why if you buy a Samsung phone, you have the best of both worlds when it comes to AI.
Yes, I'm looking forward to doing that Galaxy AI versus, Apple intelligence video.
Yep.
If you're planning to do that. Because, internally when we tried out Galaxy AI, it was amazing. And we were just blown away by some of the advances and the stuff that it can do. Really, honestly impressed. But in terms of Huawei, I don't expect Google to surprise us in any way.
Yeah.
It's iterative. Even the design is iterative.
Yeah.
If we're talking about our next story, it's a good segue there.
Correct.
But based on the ad alone, it really is about AI and how Google is upping the game and how it has the entire kind of like ecosystem.
Yeah, because it seems like they've already kind of settled down on the whole entire looks of it. So that brings us to, like you said, a segue to the next news on the leaks. So we're going to dedicate this particular segment specifically to talk about what we know so far. But before anything, do you think that Google is intentionally doing these leaks? Like the major ones were the fact that the photos of the commercial being shot was leaked. So like people zoom in and saw the entire, even the storyboard. They even saw the storyboard on the leaked.
Of course they are. And it's been happening for years and it's nothing new. So planned leaks.
Do you think, again, I like to put you into the position, if you are the marketing boss for
leaks
Pixel,
are good, dude.
Okay.
Leaks are good.
So would you plan similar like that? So like, okay, just say.
Would I plan, plan leaks? Be clever about it.
Okay.
Get spotted in public using the phone. It used to happen. Not only with Apple or Google, but with Samsung, with BlackBerry, even those days.
Yeah, the BlackBerry days, yeah.
It's just clever.
Okay.
I thought the fold was clever. Remember that shot of someone in the... was it a cab or something using the... was it a G? I think it was the Z Fold 7. Where it was like super slim. And we were saying, is that really that thin? And it got people talking about it. And now G Fold 7 is like the best-selling foldable in the market.
Correct. And
so
it was a high-quality photo, and then they just bring down the resolution to make it look like it's ugly and it's leak.
Yeah, I could have. Samsung isn't very good at protecting leaks either. So
that's true. I think we are at this point in time. It's almost like football, right? I think we are slightly diverting a bit. It's like football. If you follow like Romano and Einstein, Brazil, it's like you already know who's going to get sold.
Yep.
And who's going to be changing and all, which also kind of beats the purpose, but at the same time, as fans, we want to know about it.
I personally, as a consumer, I feel it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kill the surprise, and then when it comes to the event, everything's already out. Like, there's no one more thing.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Steve
which we'll talk about it next week.
Steve Jobs used to do, right?
Because the rumored one more thing is interesting. So we will talk about that next week.
I think Apple is a little bit better at keeping secrets.
Yes.
Because they're so strict about it.
So I remember there was this huge leak about how the Apple Watch Series 10 was going to be a major change.
Major
in
facelift.
Almost everybody, people like Mark Gurman and all were saying it's going to be totally changed. And then at the 11th hour, he goes like, oh, it's not going to change.
I think it's speculative because it's a 10th generation.
Exactly.
They are expecting something huge like the iPhone 10.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen, obviously.
Yeah. So I guess you're right. Apple is the only one which you have that some level of surprise at least.
Yeah, because it's about a story.
Yeah.
And you don't want to reveal all your cards.
Yeah, correct.
At the same time. And Apple's really good at that. Bit of marketing strategy.
So going into the hardware things, first and foremost, the leaked photos, we talked about that. First things first, the new Google Tensor G5 chip. They're going away from Samsung, going to TSMC. It's going to be built on a 3 nanometer chipset. So this is new, meaning like we've never seen something like this, especially with Google's way of optimizing things within a software perspective.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts when it comes to why they changed? Although we do not know the reason, but do you think that the change will be a good thing or will backfire against them?
I don't think it's a backfire. It's just fabrication. The design is still a Samsung chip, I believe.
Oh,
it's still a Samsung chip.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. It's just that TSMC has been outsourced to fabricate. So, and also I think they have more advanced fabrication processes.
Yeah.
Which is why they chose.
Okay.
No biggie. I mean, again, the chip isn't the most, and you know that it's based on an Exynos.
Yeah,
right.
Somewhat.
And you're not going to get super raw power with it. It's about the NPU. It's all about AI. It's about efficiency.
Yeah.
Not about raw speed. It's not gonna. It's not gonna match a Snapdragon.
Yeah.
So this and Google's not going to talk about that performance bit anyway.
Exactly. So. Because it is true. Because there were some leaked benchmarks, and you all know I don't really like benchmarks. So when it comes to the benchmarks, it is apparently good, but not as good as the Elite. Yeah. But
for sure.
While on paper there might be a difference, but again, it could be a similar case like the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 because on paper it doesn't seem like, it seems like a huge difference with the Elite, but when you kind of use it from a day-to-day perspective, you'll be like, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And Google software optimization has always been great, so yeah. The design looks about 99% the same, but based on how I've been looking through for the past several days, the only thing I realized it was moved is their SIM card tray. Other than that, it's the same. But here's the thing, I like the design. I wanted to bring the phone here to show, but it's okay. We'll just get the Pixel 10 and then
it's grown on me. I mean, it's a very pixely design. I prefer the previous generations. The 6, the 7 was nicer, I feel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I prefer this 9 because of the fact that it's like an island.
I like the visor.
There you go. Correct. I like the visor. I like the visor as well. Yeah. But the moment when this one came out, I like how it's like an island. So it kind of it sits. You know my whole issue with wobbly stuff. So it was actually quite nice.
And also the camera bumps now, it makes the phone a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
Because now there are 3 cameras.
Exactly. So,
which is, I think, it's a good selling proposition if you were to, let's say, compare it to an iPhone.
Give us the lowdown on the new camera and what is the compromise, because there's also compromise though.
Oh, really? I didn't read about that.
Okay.
Maybe you can tell me.
Okay, Ken. I will. You talk about the camera.
As long as it's not a macro, and as long as it's not like some kind of 3D LiDAR camera.
Okay.
And claiming it as a third camera.
Okay, so I'll give the very quick lowdown. Yeah, so Pixel 10 has upgrade, which is the fact that it's going to have a telephoto lens. Previously, it was just 2 lenses for the baseline ones, which is the ultra wide and the main lens. So this time it's going to be 3 lenses. Okay, so there will be a telephoto, main lens, and an ultra wide. So the compromise is the fact that instead of using a 48 megapixel sensor, which is a Samsung sensor, on the Pros is using a 12 megapixel. That's the only one. Which is fine because Google's software optimization has always been number one, right?
And not only that, when you talk about 48 megapixels or 200 megapixels, they're going to be, downsized into a 12 megapixel.
Because when we did our YouTube community post about which camera, a lot of people like telephoto lenses. So this could make the baseline be the phone to buy for people who wants a dedicated telephoto lens. So optical zoom wise is totally fine.
I mean, we've had this conversation about what lens you prefer, and I think telephoto is probably the most useful.
Yeah. So for the Pixel 10, other than that, the display is going to be brighter at 3000 nits compared to about 2700 nits previously, which is not a huge difference.
We're not going to tell the difference, to be honest.
It's rumored to have fast charging up to 29 watts because the current fast charging is only 23 watts. Wired charging.
Like an iPhone.
Yeah. And the battery is said to rumored to be bigger at 4700 milliamps compared to 4970. The reason being because they might be including a vapor chamber inside the Google Pixel 10 compared to the Pro. So the Pros have a vapor chamber. The baseline did not have, so maybe that's the reason why they did not increase it so much. The Pixel 10 Pro, the display sizes are going to be same, 6.3 and 6.8 inches. Cameras are also going to be same, but previously the macro photography, you could only use your ultra wide.
Right.
Now, apparently the rumor is that they're can use your telephoto lens for macro.
Which makes sense.
Which makes more sense. And based on our last podcast sessions, we did say that it's a better option for those who really want to take a macro shot. We don't have to go in too close. The vapor chamber is actually more on the Pro, not the baseline. My bad on that. So that's why it's not as huge. The Pixel 10 Pro is said to go up to 5200 milliamps of battery instead of 5060. And there's also a huge rumor for Qi 2 wireless charging for all. And
built-in or with a case?
No, within built-in.
Okay.
And here's the biggest thing, and I really hope to God it's true. I don't know whether you heard this. Have you heard of this thing called Pixel Snap?
Nope. What's Pixel Snap?
So that is the huge rumor, which we hope is true. I'm glad you don't know about it. So I'm like, yes, I got it. Pixel Snap is like your iPhone's MagSafe, but for Android. You just talked about this last week. Why isn't anybody putting that, right? Everybody does like a half-ass job. The Oppo Find X8 Pro has that, but it's still not as strong. So the rumor is that Pixel plans to put this and calls it the Pixel Snap alongside with other bunch of accessories.
Ooh, nice.
So that would make it a bit more interesting.
Make it more ubiquitous so everyone has like MagSafe.
I totally agree. However, you didn't talk about a phone that you potentially would want to use, which is the Pixel 10 Pro Fold.
Oh yeah.
Because the last year's news is that when I asked the Malaysian team of Google Pixel here in Malaysia, I asked where is the Fold, and they said, this year they didn't have time, so tak sempat, but it'll come next year, which is right now.
So they are bringing that to Malaysia, or just
that's what they said last year. I hope they come up with a promise. Yeah, they said they're going to bring
I've always liked the Fold. I always found it intriguing because of the form factor.
Yep.
It's a little bit squarish. And I mean, compared to all the foldables out there, Pixel is always unique because it's rarer and there are less people using it. So it's more exclusive.
And also I like the design of the cameras. It's a bit different. Yeah. So what we have heard and what we have gathered is that, you know how the bezels are very huge. So hopefully it'll go down more because the bezels are really huge, right? It doesn't look like a current phone.
There's no excuse when Samsung makes the best.
Exactly.
Right?
And also when you fold it, if you see pictures, the display kind of eats in a bit more. So you have like more hardware. So the curve, so like instead of you, like for example, instead of you having the screen to the edge, the screen is a bit like at the side here. Okay. So we don't have it over here. For those of you who actually hold the Pixel Fold, or the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, then you can actually see that. The cameras are also rumored to go up to 5050 milliamps of battery, not silicon carbon, apparently. So this would potentially be the highest lithium-ion battery, which goes that high. And this one is quite interesting. I don't know whether they're going to do it. The huge rumor is that they might be the very first foldable phone which has IP68 rating.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, like everybody else has the IPX rating. Like for water is fine, but when it comes to dust, not really.
Because of the hinge, and it's quite tricky.
So, quite interesting to know if this particular rumor is correct. The cameras are rumored to be exactly the same as last year, so that is fine because the pros are the same. Now, before we close this particular segment, if the Pixel 10 Pro Fold comes to Malaysia, the reason why I keep on looking is because I want to make sure that because the naming scheme is a bit interesting. It's not a Pixel Pro 10 Fold or Fold
Just
10. It's Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Yeah,
Pixel 10
Pro.
Why do they put Pro in the name?
They could just call it Pixel 10 Fold, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I keep on looking at the notes here. Anyway, if it's really rumored and it's confirmed coming to Malaysia, if money wasn't an object, I mean, of course, money wasn't for object, anybody would get it. But as a smartphone fan, besides using your iPhone, would you get the 10 Pro Fold?
Yes.
Compared to the Z Fold 7?
I knew you were going to ask
Yes,
that.
of course I'm going to ask.
It's a matter of preference, and I think I've already mentioned that it's about exclusivity. And based on that alone, it will be the Pixel Fold.
Okay.
But in general, I think the Z Fold 7 is an easy buy.
Okay.
If money was no object.
Okay.
It's
so it's a bit more unique. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah, Z Fold 7.
And also the form factor is still
excellent.
a bit more squarish as opposed to like your... Yeah, especially when you're using it on a single cover display. Okay, that's interesting.
There's a space for Pixel devices,
I agree. Okay, for the third news would be Spotify's price increase. TLDR.
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me too, but we need to tell you all. The individual pricing is raised to 17 ringgit 50 cents from 15 ringgit 90 cents. So it's a 1 ringgit 60 cents increase. Student plan is 9 ringgit 50 cents. So it's a 1 ringgit increase. The duo plan is increased up to 3 ringgit. So from 21.50 is 24.50, and the family plan has also increased 3 ringgit. So it's 27 ringgit 90 cents. Apple Music, which is our choice, and we'll tell you why in case you miss our previous podcast. But let's talk about the price. Individual plan is 16.90 compared to 17.90. Okay, so that is fine when it comes to that. So you already have something which is already more affordable. 16 ringgit 90 cents, 17 ringgit 50 cents for Spotify. Student plan on Apple Music is 8 ringgit 90 cents compared to 9.50. So there's an increase there. And the family plan is 25 ringgit 90 cents compared to 27 ringgit 90 cents on Spotify. So previously when people argue with me and say, why do you use Spotify? They say the price difference is not so much. Now the price difference is so much.
Yeah. And I think initially it wasn't always about the price per se. I think it was about the library of music.
Yeah.
And Spotify at that time had, the biggest library, right? Compared to Apple Music, which was a newer player.
Yeah.
But I would argue now that that's no longer the case. There's a lot of even exclusive music that's available in Apple Music. Number 2, quality is better in Apple Music.
100 times better. There's no...
Which is why I switch. Same. It wasn't about price. It's about quality.
Yes.
And ultimately, Apple Music just delivers better quality audio. So that's why we switched, right?
The only thing that I feel that Spotify has over Apple Music specifically is their discoverability. So the discoverability for Spotify.
You mean for artists or for...
Yes, for music in general. So like for example, if you're creating a playlist and you want to ask Spotify to recommend you certain artists which is similar, Apple Music doesn't do as a good of a job as Spotify. That's about it, right? But when it comes to audio quality, we said it before, because they do have lossless. Spotify does not have lossless until today. They promise is coming a feature. And another thing I honestly comes down to the fact that Spotify has also become a household name. That's one of the reasons why people don't say, hey, can you share me your playlist? They say, can you share me your Spotify playlist?
Yeah.
Even like during my wedding, I remember like the venue guys are, oh, can you share it on Spotify? And I'll give him a look. I'm like, no Spotify.
But I mean, that's what you get as an advantage for being a first mover, because they're way ahead in terms of, you know, how long they've existed. And Apple Music is considered, you know, a little bit newer.
Do you have any family members who uses Spotify and you try to make them switch, but they say no?
They have switched because I give them Apple Music through the plan, right?
Same.
Because Apple One...
Yeah, Pris, for the longest time, she was using Spotify.
Yeah, Apple One is amazing because you pay like a sum and then you have literally full access to all of Apple services.
Yeah.
Music, arcade, and all that stuff, Apple TV and all that stuff, right? iCloud storage.
Exactly.
Which is 2 terabytes.
2 terabytes.
Because I was already using individual services, it just made sense for me to move.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to Spotify, the price hike is going to go through Southeast Asia, Middle East, Africa, Europe, Latin America. Why didn't they just say whole world?
Yeah, exactly.
They say selected markets, but
it almost sounds
Southeast
like
Asia,
world.
Middle East, Africa, Europe, Latin America, Asia Pacific. Yeah, whole world, dude. And these price adjustments are to improve their financial performance because, you know, they're not profitable, right? So hopefully they can earn its first round of profitability in 2020 or 2024, 25.
Don't you find it funny? Oh, the reason we want to increase is because we need to earn more money.
They have to earn money because they're not.
Why do we care? We don't care.
The shareholders,
we don't
they have
care.
to answer to the shareholders. So
yeah, you answer the shareholders. Why do we have to pay extra? So now my point is, it's so dumb. Sorry, guys, we increase our price now. Oh,
we have to make more money.
YouTube is no longer free when you watch our videos because we need to make more money. They were making so much money in the first place. You cut down your costs because now there's more reason. I was very happy with this news because for anybody who's using Spotify, I have this idea at the back of my head is, oh my God, what are you doing in your life kind of thing. So what is your final reaction to this particular news? When you saw this, and like for me, I was just laughing. What is your reaction to this?
I'm a bit nonchalant because number one, I'm not affected by it. Yeah. But number two, I think price hikes are natural in that process of all subscriptions. Look at Adobe. Yeah. Look at how much we have to pay.
Oh God.
Same thing, whether it's YouTube Premium or any other subscription service, Netflix.
Yeah,
it's all going to go up, and it's just all part of that inflation thing that we have to go through, right?
Okay.
Not so affected by it, but I feel, again, looking at all the plans, the family plan is still the best plan, and I find the oddball to be the duo plan because it's so close to the family plan. It only supports 2 people.
Yeah. Even Apple Music does not even have such thing of a dual plan.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird plan. Maybe it's for like couples. I don't know.
Could be. Maybe their
family plan makes more sense.
The data says that the people who
but you get a whole lot more features with the family plan. Even if you, let's say, don't use up all 4 slots.
Yeah, correct.
You're still paying a better price than the duo.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Very strange.
My conclusion about this is that more reason for you all to switch. Stop using Spotify.
I know some people who switch to YouTube Music.
Yeah, Leo is one of them.
Which is interesting.
Yeah,
interesting move.
Because the library is a lot because it's YouTube, and there are certain, like I said, bands who because of copyright issues. Like for us, like our second album is not on any platform because of copyright issues, but you can find it on YouTube, for example.
I like YouTube Music because there's a whole lot more video.
Yeah. Of course.
So like if I go to gym and run on a treadmill, right? I turn on YouTube Music automatically because I can get to watch music videos while I run.
Oh, that's nice.
You don't get that with Apple Music, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. For our favorite segment of the time, which is Vernon Chan's segment, who asked for this?
I didn't pick this story though.
I know you didn't. I was trying to look for something there. I was like, I mean, you can give your honest thoughts.
Sure.
In the end of the day, who asked for this? You need to answer who asked for this.
People of Terengganu asked for this.
Okay. So, go on. So, you said people of Terengganu asked for this. But give the lowdown to all of our viewers who's listening and also watching. What is the Syariah-Compliant Matchmaking Portal? What is all of this about?
So, Syed wrote this story on Adam Lobo TV. entitled Portal Jodoh Darul Iman, a Sharia-compliant matchmaking portal, launched to help Terengganu singles find partners. Wow.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting.
Is it only for Terengganu?
Yes, for this one, it's like a state initiative. So in view of the plummeting birth rates, apparently in Malaysia, because based on data in which the first quarter of 2025, there was a drop of 9.4% compared to 2023. So we're not making enough babies. And the total fertility rate is below the replacement level of 2.1. There's this metric, right? 2.1. So Terengganu is doing Malaysians a favor and taking steps to encourage Malaysians, especially young Muslims, single couples, to copulate and populate.
Okay.
Because we are an aging nation, guys. So we need to make more babies. Our population is 34.2 million.
Okay.
As of 2025, which is only 0.5% growth.
Wow.
It needs to,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at it as a whole, the implications of sustained decline in this birth rate is going to cause, aging population, the shrinking workforce, because you're going to have less and less people working because we're getting old, right? You got to retire. And if you look at countries like Japan and South Korea, they are very old population. Nobody wants to get married. Nobody wants to have kids.
Yeah.
And this is hard for maintaining economic growth. And I think in Malaysia, you see the signs already. The government is pushing retirement age beyond 60. EPF, you can only redraw after 60. They're trying to push it further and further. And also possible staggered payments as you get older, right, through the years. And I think things to think about is also standard of living, right? You know that cost of living is going higher and higher, and people don't want to have babies and kids because it's going to be so expensive for them to raise kids and education and healthcare and whatever. So life expectancy for Malaysians is 75 years.
Got it.
Which is a good average. But in Terengganu itself is 72 lah.
Okay.
If you were curious about that. So this Terengganu government launched Portal Jodoh Darul Iman, very nice name, to be a matchmaker for the young men and women in the state, and essentially a Sharia-compliant Tinder.
So the thing is that you and I, we unfortunately didn't install Tinder in our phones because we were married by then.
Yeah.
Mo behind the decks knows a lot about that. I wish we could have him on the show to try and review both apps. Maybe that might come in the future. But my point is that I'm trying to understand what do they mean by Sharia compliant, because we don't have hands-on with the app. And so did they filter certain things?
So they mentioned a portal, right? So it's not an app per se.
Oh.
So unfortunately, you cannot really swipe right.
Okay.
You can click on the mouse and swipe right, maybe. I don't know. But so what they're doing is they're going to target like maybe 500 singles in Terengganu. You have to be Muslim, obviously. And it's open to unmarried individuals.
But again, only for Terengganu.
Yeah. Or single mom and dads.
So cannot lah.
Cannot.
Sorry, Mo.
Sorry. Even single moms and dads.
Okay.
But the thing that makes it Sharia compliant is that
that's what I want to know.
When you are matched, meaning when you use the portal and you're matched to someone, apparently during the first meeting, you're going to be chaperoned from a representative
from the
secretariat,
and
including a marriage counselor. So it's like super serious. It's like
so that means
there's no dating involved.
It's
literally matchmaking.
Okay, now I understand. That makes sense because I understand the Sharia law and the Sharia things which is included because when I got married,
you can't date, right?
Yeah.
Can you?
You are not supposed to date anyway. I mean, that's a whole different topic of religion, but we're not going to be talking about that. But I was just trying to understand. But I guess it is more like, it's not like a date thing to find out. It's not a matchmaking thing. It's more like, okay, look, you are single or you are looking for a partner.
Jodoh lah.
It's like jodoh is like confirm sudah mau kahwin.
Yes.
Like you want to get married already, right? So
you're ready to get married.
It's quite interesting. So I think it is a good thing to try, and maybe if this works well to up our Malaysian numbers, then hopefully it'll be available in other states as well.
Yeah, I'm very interested to know from you guys out there, the fans, anyone from Terengganu, what are your thoughts on this, and whether you tried if you're single.
Yeah, the reason why I'm very quiet about this is because I never tried any similar apps like that. But at the same time, this is very new to us. And I'm just going to try to remain positive to make sure that there are only going to be good things out of this, right? Just for the sake of having a more harmonious situation as opposed to having more backfired situation. I think the idea of having a representative there, at least it will reduce the idea of,
it could be abused as well, right?
Exactly. It could be abused. So that's my biggest worry.
Because things like Tinder is like a hookup app. It's not really...
Exactly.
If you're there to make friends, I don't think that's actual focus of the app.
So, exactly. That's a good point.
At least this is super focused. It's like, I need to find a match to get married and make babies and have a family.
Yep.
And help the Malaysian economy, kind of
True.
thing.
So that is the who asked for this. So the answer is...
The Terengganu people.
Okay.
Okay, maybe Malaysians as a whole, but let's start a little bit more macro.
Okay. The final thing we're going to talk about is the community segment. Now, the question which was asked by Syed to all of y'all is that what's the most important feature when looking to purchase a laptop? Let us know in the comment section below. Vernon, do you agree with this particular percentage of processor type being 61%, followed by GPU power, and the brand is last, not... I know the brand is second last, not last. But it's a quite close percentage, like 8% and 9%. So it seems like the screen size and the brand does not matter as much.
I will tell you a little secret. So I took this poll as well. So I answered it. And my first answer was processor type.
Okay.
And then I read it again. And then I changed my selection to brand. And I'll tell you why. Because I think...
Oh, so you voted for
processor
first, and then you went to brand.
Yeah.
Wow, brand is the second last. No, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I switched to brand because I think brand is the most powerful thing, decision making consideration when you're buying something.
Okay.
Because number one is reliability.
Yeah.
And familiarity. I think it's important.
Yeah.
If I were to look for, let's say, a laptop.
Yeah.
I would say Lenovo will come in mind because let's say something like a ThinkPad. I know that it's going to be very well built.
Yeah.
It's going to be expensive, but it's going to be very well built. I know durability is not going to be an issue. Reliability is not going to be an issue. Yeah. And then obviously I'll look at things like specs where processor is important. What kind of platform? Maybe I want Intel, maybe I want AMD.
Right.
Whether I want a Core Ultra, whether I want an Evo, because that depends on my requirements as a user, what kind of use case that I would be using it for, right? On a daily basis. You won't really look at GPU power until you make that decision. What are you using that laptop for? Yeah. If I'm a gamer, obviously I'll look at GPU.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And processor.
Because Syed did say that is about the most important feature among all. So it makes sense that why you choose the brand.
If you decide I want a gaming laptop because I want a gamer, then if you look at brands, you already know the brands that you're not going to look at.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to look at ROG. I'm going to look at MSI. I'm going to look at no more Alienware, right? Say Alienware. Legion, maybe.
Yeah.
And then make a decision of whether I want an i7, i9, or i5, and whether it's a discrete GPU that I need for my laptop. How serious am I on gaming, right? Screen size, I don't think... it also highly depends on what you want to use it for.
Okay. So if it's your voting, brand comes number one. What's the next?
Processor.
Processor is number two, followed by GPU or screen size?
Probably screen size.
Okay.
Because processor, again, depending on what you need, some of the integrated graphics on CPUs are already good enough to play, let's say, esports games.
Yeah.
Like 1080p gaming is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, you all know that
You don't game. And you're
he's
Apple user.
yeah, exactly. I just need to see Mac.
So it's literally brand.
So I'm sorted, right? But here's the thing, from as a reviewer point of view, or even like if I was a fully Windows user, I agree. It's going to be the brand first.
Yeah.
Because having reviewed a lot of Asus laptops or even Lenovo laptops, am I going to jump into a HP laptop? I never even touched it.
Yeah.
So, and we are a reviewer. So my point is that not because HP laptop is not good, it's because we have trusted that. Again, I was speaking to my tax agent. He was just asking me about, he's been using a particular brand. He's so afraid to switch because he's been so used to the switch. And it's actually Lenovo. And I said, have you tried Asus? Because Asus also has some very good laptops. It's a bit more expensive, but they're very hardy. They really just last very long. I said, no, I'm very comfortable with Lenovo. Are you reviewing any? Which we are. We can't say it now because it's on embargo. But my point is that I agree because the brand comes in first, because that way you eliminate every point. The next thing I would go is actually not the processor type. I would go with the screen size, correct?
Yeah.
Because I need my visual representation of everything. And it's not only screen size, I need the screen resolution to be very high.
Yeah.
So
also, again, depends on use case, right? Because you may be someone who moves around a lot and you don't need a big ass screen to lug around. You say, okay, 13 inches enough.
Yeah.
So I'll only look at 13 inch.
But
if I need a workhorse, I do graphics, I do video, I game maybe, so I need a 16 inch or 15 inch display, and then you look at that.
Yeah.
So highly depends on the application, to be honest.
Correct. So GPU power probably will be my last because again, I don't game, but because prior to me using a Mac Studio and all, I tried to dabble a bit on using a Hackintosh, but I realized that it was just not made for it. But from a Windows perspective, AMD has always been also quite great. But when it comes to Intel's always been the solid choice when it comes to the platform. So it depends as well. So that is my so-called tier choice. But I agree with Vernon that the brand should be coming first. We did have quite amount of comments over here, 12 comments. So let's just go through very quickly. William says that it depends on what you'll be using for. Horses for courses. Exactly like what Vernon said.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
Jet Bullet, welcome back. Our friend from UK, he said it's all about reliability because it takes all over the world with me. I take it all over the world with me, so the brand and reliability is very important. There you go.
Brand? Yeah.
So it is a brand. So it's funny because it was the second last thing here, right? Sparkplug says that you're missing cooling solution. Noise and temperatures are also important with a laptop. And there is another person who also agree with that particular point. To be fair to Syed, because YouTube's poll can only go up to 4. You cannot go beyond that. So I think 4 or 5. So maybe that's why I didn't include. But at the same time, I believe the cooling solution would be a little more for the gamers. Is that correct?
And I think
also the video editors.
It also highly depends on, it's very interlinked, right? Processor and GPU.
Yeah.
So if you have a very powerful CPU and GPU, obviously you need cooling system. If not, you're going to be frying eggs on your keyboard.
Then Nash Day says that a lot of people look into GPU in laptops, but a lot of times they don't really pay attention to what type of processor, which is also equally as important. But Elam says not necessarily anymore, bro. More important is the GPU. And so it's funny how there's this huge. Maybe we should do a video about this, right? Yeah,
I mean, it's very fundamental. The questions to ask when you buy a laptop,
which is good.
And it's always like some friends will ask, "What laptop should I buy?" And then the first question I ask them is, "What are you going to use it for?"
Yeah,
because that's the most important.
Correct.
There's no point in buying like a $15,000 gaming laptop and you only use Microsoft Word. So
that's true. Chu Misu says, because it's a laptop, I would choose the size first. It must be compact. So if PC, we go with CPU first, for sure. So I guess he's looking from a Mac perspective as well. VL Yad says, processor is always number one. My phone's processor is better than 70% plus of modern mid-ranger, but GPU is weak, making it not gaming friendly at all. So he feels processor is important. So I think he's one of the people who voted as the processor for even phones. DG Scott says connectivity. How many of what kind of ports? Oh, that's interesting. Why no one talks about this? He's right though. Pots. Yeah, you may not want to live with a dongle life, right? I often need a HDMI option, and because also ADSL choice. Wow, I long time never heard the word ADSL.
I mean that's one variable for sure.
Yeah, but not
expansion ports was all its thing with PC laptops, right? You want that plethora of ports that you can connect to.
And then you said processor first before anything else because that was your first vote. That's why you commented over there. Then of course you said the brand. And then Victor says wait, but I can make a proxy of it with the screen size.
Wait.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Okay. But anyway, he said, and battery life, you didn't give me that option. Everybody's upset. There's only limited options that we can give you all, yeah? So appreciate all of your comments as usual. Like I said, we'll be actually coming up with these questions every Tuesday. So be sure to answer that. But like I said, next Tuesday, does not matter whatever question that we come up with, just make sure to participate in that as well. And that's what we can also talk about for that. So appreciate you guys being and communicating together with us, which is very much appreciated. What's exciting next week is that next week on episode number 27, we'll be having a fellow creator. His name is Uma Nashpandi. We are going to be having the similar conversation for the Pixel, like what we know so far, but it's going to be based on the iPhone 17, on what we know so far. And this also includes the rumored iPhone 17 Air, which is rumored to be the next big thing. So we're going to compile everything, get his thoughts, and it's going to be the first time that What the Tech episode, we're going to have 3 people. So if you like to have one more person or even whoever's working behind the scenes like this time around is more, let us know in the comment section below for us to have more, maybe more the merrier, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that we have. Tomorrow, we're going to be releasing our Z Fold 7 in-depth review on how it can replace your laptop or not. So we answered that question because I had like Numa Fusion and all loaded inside there. So that is what we have for tomorrow as well. So make sure to check out those videos out. And of course, the in-depth review of the HUAWEI Pura 80 Ultra as well. So with that, we'd like to conclude this week's episode of What the Tech, episode number 26. My name is Adam Lobo.
My name is Vernon. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.